Once upon a time, there was a wealthy guy of high social class. As he grew older, he realized that the pains of old age were similar for the wealthy and poor alike. So he gave up his wealth and social status and walked into the forest, where he lived as a poor monk. He meditated and worked on his thinking. He liberated himself from negative thinking and found happiness and contentment. His calm and warmth eventually brought him 500 followers. Back then, most monks wore profound expressions. One monk, however, usually had a little smile on his face while being quite distinguished. Whatever occurred, he never lost his inherent happiness, and in joyous moments, he had the broadest smile and the warmest laughter of all. Monks and others would sometimes ask him why he was constantly smiling. "If I told you, you wouldn't believe me," he smiled, "and it would be disrespectful to my master if you felt I told a lie." The old and wise master was aware of the cause of the uncontrollable smile on his face. He appointed this joyful monk as his number one assistant. Once, after the rainy season, the old monk and his 500 disciples went to the city. The king invited them to spend the spring in his pleasure garden. The king was a kind person who took his duties as a monarch seriously. He made an effort to make his people prosperous and well off, while also keeping them safe from harm. He was always concerned about neighboring kings, some of whom were hostile and unfriendly. He frequently had to mediate between his own ministers of state, who had rivalries among them. His wives competed for his attention and the progress of their sons at times. On rare occasions, a disgruntled subject even threatened the king's life. Of course, he also had to be continually concerned with the kingdom's finances. He actually never had time to be cheerful, since he was always worried about something or other. He discovered that the monks were getting ready to go back to the forest as summer drew near. The king went to the elderly leader and said, "Master, you are now extremely old and frail. Please consider your health and well-being. What benefit does returning to the forest have? You may send your followers back while you stay here." The head monk then summoned his number one aide and told him, "You are now to be the leader of the other monks, while you all live in the forest. Considering I am too old and frail, I shall accept the king's invitation to stay here." The old one remained when the 500 went back to the jungle. The top aide continued his meditation exercises in the woods. He had attained such enlightenment and tranquility that he was much more happy than before. He wanted to share his joy with the master since he missed him. He then paid a visit to the city once again. When he got there, he took a seat on a mat at the old monk's feet. They did not talk much, although the number one assistant would occasionally rejoice. "What happiness, oh, what happiness." The king then paid a visit. He expressed his gratitude to the chief monk. The person from the forest, however, only kept uttering, "What happiness, oh, what happiness." He did not even pause to salute and pay the king his due respect. This bothered him, and he reflected, With all my worries, as busy as I am looking after the kingdom, I take time out for a visit, and this monk is not respectful of me enough to even recognize me. How rude, he told the senior of the two monks. Respected sir, this monk must be stupid for overeating. He must be really happy because of this. Does he always lie around here, being so lazy? O king, be patient. I will tell you what makes him happy, the senior monk responded. It is not well known. He was previously a king and was equally wealthy and powerful as you are. He later gave up his life as the king and took vows as a monk. Now he feels his previous joy was barely anything relative to his current joy. He used to be guarded and protected by armed guys who were surrounding him. He does not need armed guards now that he is sitting by himself in the forest and feels safe. He is no longer burdened by the responsibility of protecting his fortune. His understanding serves to safeguard both himself and others instead of worrying about money or being afraid of authority. He gets to a point in his meditation where he is so at ease within that he can't help but exclaim, "What happiness! Oh, what happiness!" The king immediately understood. Hearing the narrative of the joyful monk made him feel at ease. He stayed for some time and took advice from both of them. He paid them respects and went back to the palace after that. After paying his respect to his master, the happy monk, who had previously been a king, returned to the beautiful forest. The elderly chief monk lived the rest of his life, died, and was reincarnated in the heavens. In life, often we want more wealth and power because we believe that it will make us happier. The reality is quite the opposite. Attachments like wealth and power make us fearful of losing them, and we end up being occupied with the thoughts of safeguarding them. It leaves no room for happiness. Remember, the more detached you are from wealth and power, the happier you become.